It's 7:30. Good night.
Welcome to 7:30. Later in the programme, the Oscar hopeful who made a film in his mum's lounge room, but first to the battle over power bills. Late last year, Victoria's Premier pledged to bring back government-owned electricity generation, promising it would lead to lower bills and create thousands of new jobs. Now, the re-elected Labor government faces the task of delivering on that promise. This report from Nadia Daly and Lucy Kent.
We're driving along an unusual tourist trail in Victoria's Latrobe Valley. This road, called the Power Drive, is in a picturesque part of the country that's also home to one of the world's largest brown coal deposits.
You've heard of Route 66 in the US. Well, this is Route 98. It's taking us through what's known as Victoria's coal belt. It's the energy heartland of the state. We're going past power plants, terminals, mines, and while some of them are still operational, others are now or are soon to be just sites along a tourist trail.
Last November, the cost of power and the need to bring prices down was top of mind for Victorians at the state election. And the Premier, Daniel Andrews, had power companies in his sights.
Privatisation of our electricity system has failed. It's why we'll return government ownership of energy, bringing back the SEC.
This idea of community power was a strong issue in terms of motivating people to vote Labor.
Labor focus groups showed the prospect of a government-owned energy provider was popular among voters.
Cost of living is now almost a universal issue, and really every sort of politician or political party wants to and claims they can do something about it.
So the government pledged to Victorians it would bring back the State Electricity Commission, or SEC. But unlike the original SEC, which was a state monopoly on electricity generation and distribution, the new version would be a government entity in partnership with private capital operating in the energy market.
Our first reaction was one of surprise. It was news to everyone in the industry. And secondly, to note, it's not really so much a revival of the SEC apart from in name. The original SEC, its assets were privatised away in the late 90s. And since then, the SEC has sat almost as a shell company, and now that shell company is going to be used as a $1 billion investment vehicle for renewables projects that the government will own.
The government promised that the new SEC will deliver lower power bills to Victorians by investing in clean energy and will create almost 60,000 new jobs. But where those jobs will be created and what the new company will do and look like is not clear. Academic Bruce Mountain is advising the Victorian government on their energy policy, including the new SEC.
I don't think any decisions have been made on what the SEC ought to be, so as best I know the government has made no decisions yet.
Has made no decisions at all on what it will look like?
I can't speak for the government, but as I know best, the government has not yet decided the detail or any of the details of it yet.
Good morning, Minister. Nadia Daly from 7:30.
Victoria's SEC minister first agreed to an interview at 7:30 last week, then cancelled as she had COVID. Lily D'Ambrosio was back at work this week and declined our requests for a sit-down interview.
It's a once-in-a-generation change for our energy system. It's going to lead to the creation of 59,000 jobs.
And where are those jobs going to be
6,000 apprenticeships and traineeships right across our state.
Are they going to be ongoing jobs or are they going to be in the construction phase?
They are the total
what
number
sort
of jobs that will be created as we create more renewable energy. We've already created, and we're actually leading the country in terms of renewable energy jobs.
Well, we haven't yet seen the business case that sits behind the government's claim that there will be 60,000 new jobs created by the creation of the SEC.
Sarah McNamara represents the peak industry body for electricity and gas in Australia, and she's sceptical of some of the government's promises.
Well, we haven't yet seen where these jobs would be and what sort of jobs they are. One of the challenges with the energy market transition is that jobs in renewables projects do tend to be more in the construction phase of a project than ongoing.
Our road trip on Power Drive Route 98 takes us to the once bustling town of Morwell, the hub of the former SEC. These days, the town is struggling to recover from successive job losses and closures of coal-fired power stations over the past few decades, as the state's energy system started its transition to clean energy. During last year's election campaign, Premier Daniel Andrews said Morwell would be the home of the new SEC, with a centre of excellence to be built here.
Making sure this community and this proud region are at the heart of our clean energy future.
Generations of families relied on the SEC for their livelihoods, and for some it was synonymous with security and stability.
They closed it down to start with and now they want to go back again.
Would it be a good thing to re-establish the SEC, in your view?
Well, probably. I think they need to do something. Families are struggling.
My grandfather worked for the SEC for over 35 years of his life, and he said when he died it was the worst thing that ever happened.
Have you heard much of the detail about what the new SEC would look like?
No, I haven't heard much about it.
Would you like to hear more detail?
I would like to hear more, yeah. I'd like to have a town meeting.
It's been 5 months since the policy was announced, and so far the government has appointed an advisory panel and an interim CEO. Victorians have been promised that the new SEC will bring down power bills.
The SEC is established, recruitment is happening for roles at the SEC. We've gone out and done market testing and that is continuing.
When can Victorians expect to see lower power bills as a result of the SEC?
Well, what I've said to you all along is that the more renewable energy we can bring into our system, the downward pressure will be on electricity prices.
Investment in new renewables projects that are owned by the government will not bring prices down.
But Bruce Mountain disagrees. He says the new SEC could provide lower prices to consumers in time.
When do you think Victorians might see the benefit of lower power prices realistically?
I imagine with a 4-year cycle, our government will want to see measurable changes within 4 years. The underlying economic advantages, however, are expressed not during the electoral cycle, but over a much longer period of time.
It sounds like there's still quite a lot to be worked out.
There's a great deal to be worked out. It's a massive policy shift. The sector is extraordinarily complex and there are so many different aspects to it.
Victorians voted for it and Victorians voted to bring back the SEC and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Thank you.